Hi, everyone. This is Miranda with the Valuable Voices podcast. I'm excited for you guys to meet Dave Ebert today. We met in a podcast group. And again, I just love who God's bringing into our lives and what he's doing. And I just thanks for showing up today, Dave.
Absolutely. I'm glad to be here and really great to make connections. Checked out some of your previous episodes, so I hope that this isn't a dip. I hope that we stay
Oh,
on the up.
yeah, no, I love your background.
Oh,
I've heard a little bit of your story, so I just want to dive in because I think it's great and I look forward to you sharing. So, yeah, kind of take us back to, childhood or where you want to start with your story to kind of lead to where you are today.
sure. So it was a cold, rainy night in 19. I'm kidding. So I was born here in the Chicagoland area. I was actually born in Melrose Park. And my dad ended up getting very sick when I was very young. I was about 7 years old. So we had to leave Chicago and move to Virginia, where my mom was from. And in the midst of growing up, because of his failing health and the normal butting of heads that happens between father and son during those teenage years, plus a lot of misguided ideas about what the pursuit of teenage girls should be like. I struck out pretty regularly. you know all that kind of added up, and I entered into a really deep depression for many years. In fact, it lasted from high school through age 31. So it was a constant battle with the idea of ending it all and taking my life through suicide. And the way I masked it, because I knew I shouldn't feel this way. I knew that there was something wrong for me to think about it. So I would mask it. I didn't want to let anybody know, because I didn't want the added shame of somebody else knowing that it was like it was trying to hide my secret.
Yeah, sure.
And so I used comedy as a way to, humor, try to entertain people, because if they're laughing, they're probably not seeing what I'm struggling with. And also, if they're laughing, they're probably not struggling with the same thing I am. So it was a way to mask what I was going through. And it was also a way to add value to the world, because if I could help somebody feel better, then I could justify not taking that final step, because it's like, see, I could do something, I could make an impact. And so that was my story through high school and in college, just trying to keep that all under wraps. And the few times that I did try to reach out didn't work out. In college, I chose a buddy's dorm when we were enjoying some beverages. I'm not glorifying it, but that's sometimes what college kids do. And in the midst of that stupor, it's like, man, I'm really depressed. And they're like, no, man, I mean, you're hilarious, we love you, everybody loves you, there's no reason to be depressed. It's like, okay, so I'll just put that back for now.
Right.
And then after college, I actually went to a therapist. I'm like, hey, I need some help, I need to figure this out. And in the 45 minutes, he spent the entire session telling me why I shouldn't be depressed. It's like, you've got this going on in your life, you've got this going on. You really shouldn't. I'm like, I know, that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
So keep the $25 copay. I'm not coming back.
Right. Wow. Okay.
And my battle, it continued until end of 2012 into 2013. I was really wrestling with the idea still of taking my life, but I was also at this point where I was starting to warm up the idea of giving my life to the Lord. And looking back, I can see so many ways that he was reaching out to me. I got demoted at the radio station I was working at, but I got demoted from a powerful country station to a small, solid gospel station. So even though it's not my cup of tea and the thing that I'd want to do, for 2 years, I sat there at a board just getting poured into and hearing message after message, song after song about the Lord. And it obviously it planted seeds.
Yeah.
And it really reached a climax in January, where I was walking to work. I was late as usual. And there's very few people that lived in the neighborhood I was in. So there's really no other reason but God that these kids were there. But there were two kids from a Bible college, and they were there to pray for people, offer tracts, which for anybody that doesn't know what a tract is, it's basically a small comic with a gospel message, a message about the Bible in it. And so they're handing it out, and I blew them off. I said, "Oh yeah, I'm a Christian. I'm saved. Yeah, I don't have time for prayer, but I'm good," which was, was a lie. But I
Yeah.
got to work, got home, and that's when I realized, okay, God's trying to tap me on the shoulder. Let's see what He has to say. So I started reading Purpose Driven Life, reading the Bible, and to tell you how intent I was reading the King James Version, which not an easy task for somebody that's new to the faith or
Yeah.
new in their walk to, start picking up. And it was, I bought it at a Dollar General, I think.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was one that had errors. I couldn't tell. It was King James English. Uh, but I got all the way through Deuteronomy before I said, let's get something a little bit more of my speed. And once I really started pursuing the Lord, that's when He showed me that comedy and entertaining people is what He wanted me to do.
Yeah.
But He wanted me to do it for His purposes, not to hide myself. He wanted me to brighten people's lives, to share hope and love, but not as a way to mask myself, but as a way to reveal who He is and His love for them.
Wow.
And so I moved to Chicago, and I started the comedy team to start trying to do that on a regular basis, just bring light to a dark world through comedy.
Wow. I love that. So inspiring. I mean, thanks for sharing all that. I know it's probably not easy. It's kind of easier now that you're on the other side, right? But
Yeah.
I'm sure many people can relate to the pain, that you were going through and hiding it. People hide it different ways,
Yeah.
right? Eating, drinking, comedy, what have you. But I love that you said He just kept tapping you on the shoulder, and finally
Yeah.
you were listening. Finally you were intentional and taking the steps and like, wait, maybe there's more to this,
Yeah.
So that's awesome. So what are you doing now? What is the comedy? What is that like? Who's your audience? I'd love to hear about that.
Sure. We are Well-Versed Comedy. It's a group of Christians, multiple denominations. We're spread out. It's clearly a God thing because we have, so I noticed just recently today that you're in the Chicagoland area too,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So you know where I'm talking about when I say we have somebody that's from Antioch, we have somebody from Joliet, we have somebody from Chicago, Orland Park. So we're spread out, and only God could have arranged us to meet because none of us go to the same church. Nobody's in the same denomination. So we're able to represent the kingdom by having multiple people, multiple views. And the idea is we just do clean comedy. It's not like we're reenacting the book of Genesis, because when you're doing improv, there's the risk of having momentum. And if you're doing Bible stuff, you can kind of misuse it or misrepresent it. And then all of a sudden you've gone into heresy and you lose your ability to witness.
Yeah.
So we just do clean comedy and basically poke fun at what makes us all human and just enjoy that together. We do a lot of fundraisers. This spring we did 3 shows for Royal Family Kids Camps, which is a camp for foster kids. We raised over $5,000 this spring.
Wow.
And the achievement in that is that even though we're kind of out of it, we're still coming out of the pandemic, and still a lot of hesitancy to go out and be in groups.
Yeah.
So I was just thankful that the Lord opened the door that we could raise that much money. We've done some shows for homeless shelters just to give people a laugh that otherwise wouldn't be able to afford it. And I don't mean that as some big thing, but it's just like people who are homeless don't have $50 to go to a theater or a club to watch comedy.
Yeah.
And so we come to them, and then if they ask, well, why are you doing this? Then we have that platform to say, well, it's because we believe this. So that's kind of what we do, is we look for every opportunity to bring the light of Christ. And whether it's we get to minister by actually sharing the gospel or sharing a testimony, or if it's just by bringing the power of the Holy Spirit with us and ministering through the comedy itself, we know that every time we take the stage that God can and will use it to help somebody.
Wow. I love that, because I think sometimes religion or Christianity, we can get so deep and just like, are we doing it the right way? Are we
Mhm.
saying the right thing? Is this what it means? So I love the idea of comedy around that. I can just imagine what that might look like. Where do we find you? How are you doing this? What's your platform? How do we find you?
You can find the comedy team on all the major socials at Well Versed CMDY. We try to keep it uniform, and Twitter only has so many letters that you can use. So it was like, well, we'll take out the vowels there. But it's at Well Versed CMDY or wellversedcomedy.com.
Love it.
And we're available for workshops because improv skills can be also used in ministry. Sometimes we get it in our own way. We think, like you said, am I doing the right thing, saying the right thing? But with improv, you can kind of learn to trust your instincts, trust your gut, which if you're Christian, your instincts and your gut is probably being
Right.
encouraged by the Holy Spirit. So
Yes.
you can trust in that. And so, we're available for that as well, because comedy is so needed with the pandemic, the election, all this stuff
Lighten
going
up.
on.
Like,
Yeah.
lighten up. Yeah.
And the one thing I tell people is when you laugh, when you have a good belly laugh, your natural reaction is for your head to rock back and your eyes lift up
Oh,
to
I
where
love
God is.
that. That's
So, yeah, I say that, music is, one of the greatest ways to worship God. And the sound of our song is just people united in laughter.
Yes, I love that. Do you reach teens? Like, I feel like because of your story, are teens and college age kids, or is it mostly adults?
Mostly adults come to our show. Occasionally they'll drag their teens with them. But I volunteer with our church's youth group. So,
Oh, cool.
but yeah, I'm open to work with anybody and just, share comedy, the gift of laughter with whoever wants
Neat.
it or needs it.
Yeah, I love that. Well, thank you so much for being on. We will put those links. I hope on your social media you do little skits or Facebook lives or Instagram lives or something, especially with TikTok. It's so easy
Mhm.
to give little snapshots of that. So that was kind of my goal today. Just do a quick intro. I love your story. Again, I feel like so many people have gone through some pain, but now you're taking that, you're having fun with it, you're bringing joy, you're
Yeah.
teaching, I love that, just encouraging and giving people hope. So thank you so
Yeah.
much for being on today, Dave. And hopefully I'll catch you sometime. I love your background and that you are from Chicago. So good luck and keep doing what you're doing.
All right. Thank you so much. You as well. God bless.
All right. God bless you. Thanks everyone for listening.